Do 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 do. Hey, how's it going? It's Nancy Gamon. Have you ever wished that you had eyes in the back of your head? Well, in this video, I'll show you how to make some cool eyeball barrettes so you can have eyes in the back of your head or anywhere else you might find useful. To make this project, you'll need a scrap of thick interfacing. You might see this under the brand name Peltex or Timtex. I'm using the kind that has fusible already on both sides. You'll need a little scrap of white fabric about that same size, a scrap of fabric in whatever color you'd like to use for the iris of the eyeballs, a small piece of double-sided fusible interfacing that will go on that fabric, and then something pretty to put on the back of the bobby pin. You'll also need black thread, a light gray thread, a sewing machine and everything that goes along with it, an iron and ironing board, a bobby pin for each barrette that you'd like to make, pencil, paper, scissors, and I think that'll get us started. There's a complete supply list mentioned in the video description. We're going to start by doing a little ironing. First, we'll iron on the white fabric to the double-sided fusible interfacing. Then we'll iron on the fusible interfacing to the green fabric that we're going to use for the eyeballs. And we'll set the iron aside. And now we're going to draw the eye that we'll use to make the barrette. So I'm using the bobby pin as a guide. I want to draw an eyeball that's about as long as the bobby pin. Then I'm going to cut that out. And I'm going to use that as a pattern, putting it on the stiff Timtex, and I'm going to trace around this. And then cut out that shape. Then I'm going to cut out the iris part of my pattern piece. And place it face down on the fabric. I want to choose I'm going to choose this green right there. I'm going to put it face down and trace around that. And then cut that out. Oops, I need my fabric scissors. And it's going to go in the center here. One edge is a little bit wonky, so I'm going to trim that a tiny bit. Another edge is a little bit wonky, so I'm going to trim that a tiny bit. I think that's pretty good. So I'm going to peel the paper off of that. And iron it in place. And now I'm going to go to the sewing machine and stitch around just the green part. I have my machine set to a zigzag stitch that's narrow in width and also kind of short in length, similar to what you might use for a buttonhole. And so I'm just going to start by stitching around the green area of the eyeball. And then I'm going to switch out my presser foot to a darning foot and do a little free motion stitching in the center to create the pupil. So I'm just going to start in the middle and kind of make a ever largening, is that a word, circle. I think I better snip some of these threads here before they get too messy. That looks like a nice friendly size. And then I'm going to change my thread to a light gray and using free motion again, stitch a little dot of light at one edge of the pupil. If you don't know how to do free motion embroidery, or I don't know, I guess every machine will do it, but if you don't feel comfortable doing that, you can just use a zigzag stitch to create kind of a square pupil for yourself. So I'm just going to put a little dot of light here. We want our eyeball barrette to have a nice sparkle. And then I'm going to switch back to the regular presser foot and back to my black thread and do a zigzag around the outer edge of the white area. So I've got my black thread back. I'm just going to thread this. There we go. So now I'm taking this backing fabric and I'm going to align it. I have some straggly color here. I'm going to align it so that it makes a little pocket on the back. So just place the fabric so maybe 1/4 of an inch of the white edge of the eyeball is showing out there, and it's going to create a little space for the bobby pin to slip in later. So now I'm just going to stitch around the outer edge. Oops, I forgot to change back to my zigzag. There we go. And now I'm going to use my big girl scissors to trim off the back fabric. I'm going to move really carefully around the eyeball here and try not to catch any of my stitching, but if I accidentally do, then I'll just put a drop of fray check there or something. Alright, so there's the completed eyeball, and here's my bobby pin. So on the back, there's left this tiny opening here. There we go, where the bobby pin will slip in, and then if you like, you can iron on either side of this, and that will fuse the fabric to the back side of the sticky interfacing and just kind of secure that pocket a little bit. But that's it. That's the eyeball barrette that's ready to wear and enjoy. Eyeball barrettes are perfect for school teachers, bus drivers, or just for freaking out the person sitting behind you at the movie theater. And once you get started making them, who knows where your imagination might take you. If you like the idea of eyeball barrettes, but don't have time to make them yourself right now, head on over to my website at nancygamon.com, where you can check out the current selection. I'll see you later. Do 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 do